So recently I picked up D100 Dungeon, a solo adventure game by Martin Knight. I got it on the DM's Guild. I'll put a link in the description. After playing a few games of it, I feel pretty confident enough to give a high-level explanation of what this game is, how it's played, and is it worth your time and your money. I'm John, and you're watching Dragons and Flagons. D100 is a solo role-playing game in which you will steer your adventure through... What's it say here? You'll steer your adventure through underground caves and dungeons looking for lost treasure and completing dangerous quests. It sounds pretty fun. So basically, it's a dungeon crawl game with a ton of tables to guide you through randomly generated quests and dungeons, and to encounter equally random monsters and treasure. The intent is to play this by yourself. With a little imagination, you could probably play with some friends, but the intent is it's a solo game, solo role-playing game. So really, what do you need to play? The book says a pencil, eraser, dice, and your imagination. So with this and some dice, percentile dice, D100, hence the name, and a D6 for damage. But beyond that, the book says you don't really need anything else. I found that it helps to have some graph paper. It'll go a long way, as well as some colored pencils. It'll make sense as I explain a little bit further, but the colored pencil and the graph paper will help you. A printer is also something that could be handy, but not necessarily required. You can print out your character sheets or graph paper that it provides in the back of the book. In the back of this book, it does give you... Let me see here if I can open it up. Some sheets of paper, as well as your different character sheets. And I'm holding this in a weird, awkward way. But yeah, you can print these out or get the digital version and print them out, or you can just write it on a piece of paper. The book itself is about 75 pages long, a little under. But the rules are only 33 pages of this book. The remainder are tables. Lots and lots of random goodness. While the rules aren't very long, they are jam-packed with some really good information. It's a really well thought out game. The way the rules are formatted, there's not a lot of extra fluff in here. My recommendation to learn the rules, just like any RPG, it doesn't matter what you're reading, is to read through it at least once without doing anything at all. Just read it, get an understanding of what's going on. And I mean, you're looking at 33 pages. Then you can read through it again while creating your character or playing through the game as it's actually intended. I'm not trying to say that's difficult, but this method seems to work for me, especially when learning new systems. I also kind of mentally, not necessarily in the book itself, it's not divided like this, but it's kind of divided in my head into two halves. The first half are the rules, and the second half are the tables. And the first half, again, in my head, it feels like it's broken up into different sections on characters, combat, monsters, maybe one and the same, and then the turns, out of combat movement and things like that along those lines. The rules of the character are relatively simple. You're not looking at 5e or even like a Shadowrun or anything along those lines. You basically have three characteristics. You have strength, dexterity, and intelligence. There are no classes, sort of. You pick a randomly rolled hero path, which allows your character to have a better understanding of what it is to be a rogue, a warrior, or a sorcerer. And it does give you bonuses. But there's nothing stopping you from getting those abilities, if you're a sorcerer, to get a high strength to do whatever you need to do in that world. From there, you can pick or roll your race, dwarf, elf, and human. Each race has different benefits and drawbacks, like a dwarf gets a +5 to strength and a -5 to intelligence, while the elf gets +5 to dexterity and -5 to strength. Read through them, understand what they are. It offers you the option of rolling it, so you can completely randomize your character, or you can just pick your things. What do you want to play? Again, it's a game. Have fun. Bend it to what you need it to be. So what are these ability scores anyway, especially if there aren't classes? For the lack of a better term, you get a standard array and you apply these scores 50, 40, and 30. And a score with 50 or above in any characteristic, strength or dexterity or whatever, you gain a special ability in that. So a strength will give you the Mighty Blow ability, which gives you exploding dice. So when you roll a d6 for damage, if you get a 6, you can roll it again. For dexterity, if you have a 50 or above, you get perfect aim. So it allows you to re-roll your hit location. I'll explain what hit location is a little bit further in this video. And intelligence gives you the ability to do spell casting. Again, these are all D100 or percentile dice things. So if you have a 50, you have a 50% chance of doing something. So a 50 or lower is a good thing, and 50 or 51 and above, not so good. The intent of this video is not to provide a how-to guide and really get into the weeds, but really high-level overview. So if you're thinking, hey, slow down, put it in the comments, and I'll be happy to create another video and really get into the nitty-gritty on this. It might actually work best if I play a game and you kind of watch it, if that's something you're interested in. So damage is rolled with a d6, and then everything else is pretty much rolled with your d100, your percentile die. So basically, it's if you need to roll something, you roll your percentile die, and then whatever that target, whether it's their attack modifier or their defense or a random table, you're rolling on this D100. Typically, since it's a percentile die game, you're trying to hit that number or below. For example, if your strength is 50, and I just went over all of this, if you're 50 and you're attacking without any modifiers, you need to roll a 50 or below. Combat is relatively simple as well. You roll to see what your monsters will do, run away or attack, and with that information, you decide what you'd like to do. Run away or attack, or let the monster run away or try to block it from its path. There's a couple different things, but it's relatively simple. From there, both you and the monster roll your percentile die, your D100. Subtract modifiers, add, subtract, do all that stuff that you need to do based on the equipment and your stuff. So basically, you need to meet that roll or below. If you're successful, or if it's the monster as well, whoever is successful, you roll your d6 for damage, as well as an additional d10, and that will tell you where you're actually attacking, whether it's your head or your feet or your waist or your belt or whatever it is. Depending on where you're attacking, you get additional damage modifiers. So if you hit a head, it's a +3. If you hit my feet, it's a -1. If you hit my belt, maybe I need to double check and make sure you didn't break one of my health potions or whatever. The monsters have some monster abilities, like disease or peck tactics or anything along those lines. In fact, there's actually 17 different abilities to spice up the monster combat, so it's not just roll dice and damage and wash, rinse, repeat. Knowing that the monsters you're fighting can potentially regenerate their hit points or resurrect themselves will definitely change your tactics and how you would actually want to encounter this creature. Maybe if the monster can freeze you or fly, that will influence you to run. Who knows? But if a monster just has some poison attack, maybe you'll just want to chop him down. It's up to you, and that's the joy of the game. The last major rule section, at least the way I've divided it up in my head, are turns. So basically anything you're doing outside of combat itself. It's basically tracking your time, interacting with the room you're in, and rolling for the next room on where you want to go. Again, I am oversimplifying this. There are 30 plus pages of rules, and I'm explaining it to you in a couple of minutes. So get the rules, read them yourself, and enjoy it. But with the time tracking, that's where you get to eat up your food and your oil, your resources get depleted there, as well as potentially having random encounters. Interacting with the room allows you to search, or they call it finding, random things in the room. So there could be treasure or something along those lines, or a cool magic item, magic spells, scrolls, whatever. And then the big part of this is the random table. So once you've decided where you're going to go, you're going to roll on table M and see some random table stuff. Let me kind of give you a look at this. I've got my handy bookmarks here. Let's get this opened up. So in here, we do have this wonderful page of all of these random rooms that, as you're rolling, Table M provides 100 different rooms that you can add to your graph paper, but they're also color-coded. Remember the color pencils I mentioned? The colors of the rooms tell you what you can expect in the room. A yellow room is empty, red room has an encounter, green room is a random geographic feature, and a blue room is an objective, all of which is handled with a random D100 table roll. One more thing about that is mixed into all of these things are quests. Each time that you enter a dungeon, you're following a quest, and it's provided on the quest table. At the beginning of the game, you have 5 initial beginner's quests to kind of get you the feel of the game, get you the experience and the equipment that you're going to need to survive the later quests. But then once you pass those, then it's up to the dice, and you never know if you're going to succeed or not. But these random rooms from Table M, yeah, you draw your room on there, and I think I have an example of a game I've just started. So you draw your rooms on there, yellow and red, and you can put little notations. It gives you an idea, or it gives you suggestions on the type of notations that you can put on there, so you have an understanding of what's going on as you move about. But yeah, it's completely random, and it's completely fun from the standpoint of you don't know what's going to happen or what you're going to encounter. Is it worth it? I believe so. I really enjoy solo role-playing games, whether it's D100 Dungeon that I've purchased here, and I really enjoy that, but also 4 Against Darkness or Basic Fantasy or whatever it is. This is a fun game. It kept my interest, and it will continue to keep it. I've also read that there are expansions and additional books that are almost required to truly enjoy it. I really wanted to just try the book as is, out of the box. I went out of my way to get the collector's edition because I'm a tangible person. I love all of these things. I'll put a link to it, to the DM's Guild. You can get these custom prints. They're really nice. I think it's an affiliate link. I'm not sure if it even works. I've never really tried it, but it's a really quality book. DM's Guild, I personally like them a lot. But it's high quality, at least this version here, and same at the PDF. Great color, great contrast, fantastic tables. Just interesting stuff. The art is really fun. And it's cheap and easy. You can just play this really almost anywhere. There are some online tools that you can take a look at. I've seen form fillable character sheets and things along those lines. I tried it out for my first time. It was okay, but I'm a pen and paper person. I'll just write it down on a piece of paper, and if I miss something, it's a game. No one's really caring or watching or judging me. I'm just having a good time playing a game. All in all, D100 Dungeon is a fantastic book. It's something that you should really put on your shelf if you like solo role-playing games. If you're against them, I'm not sure why you made it this far into the video, but if you're interested in solo role-playing games, I'll continue making these things. Just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep buying them, put them on my shelf because I enjoy them. Well, that pretty much sums up the game. My views on it maybe gives you a taste of what it is to play the game. But I'd love to hear if you have any suggestions on where to go next after this book, or if you even enjoy this game at all, or are there better ones out there that I haven't found yet? So let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you like this sort of content, and subscribe. It's free for you. It really helps me out. And until next time, happy adventuring and just keep playing games. Have fun.